Hidden Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Are you gonna have to finally switch over to VAC? Virtual audios. Yeah, yeah. We should set up a dating service for old hardware, and we can get my old blue. I can get my Blue Yeti and that audio thing, and they can both lightly touch each other and just get off on it and just not work anymore. Yeah.
Functional deviations.
Oh, dude, past 2 weeks, you mean? I'm sorry I haven't been here again, guys, but work's been hectic. It's been crazy. I've been around the UK twice this week, as in from Scotland down to London, up to Scotland, down to London, across to Ipswich, back to London, via Cambridge. By the way, I'm hearing myself occasionally, weirdly. Okay. And yeah. So I've been. I don't want to even think of how many miles I've done this week. Let's put it that way. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I've had a lot of new experiences. I've eaten in new places. I've seen lots of things. I've been getting up early and going to bed late. I've been catching up on sleep this weekend. So that's been nice to actually get some sleep. I've been enjoying that. Sleep is not for the weak. It is actually quite nice. So let's actually look at my calendar. So I was at one conference Monday and Tuesday. Then, because this was booked first, and I'd already booked my return travel, I then separately had to organize my next thing of Wednesday, Thursday. So that meant that I had to travel up here at midnight the night before, then leave for a train at 4:30 in the morning the next morning. Wednesday morning, yeah. So, and then when I got there at work, I had to get started as soon as I got there, which was at about 1 p.m. So I'd been traveling for approximately 8 hours by that point, and then I had to start working. So yeah, it's been pretty tough week. But to be fair, each night I go out and have a couple drinks with some friends, and I enjoy myself at night. So that's good at least. And I usually get to bed not too late. Hopefully, okay. Okay, that's fun. They usually do, especially big red ones that say "do not touch," which is the one that I assume Wayne is poking over and over. Right, so. Yep. I don't see how this is fixing. But now we can hear Kuro swear. Okay, I'll try over the fuzz. Right, so I want to give a shout out to my buddy, my good friend Neil from back at Hewlett Packard, friend of mine from there. Lovely guy, fellow coffee fiend, and he's a really good pal of mine. And we spent a lot of months together enduring the daily pain, the daily grind. And I'm sad to say his father passed away just a few days ago. And it's his birthday today, which is such a shame to have those two events together, because not only is the father's death obviously a horrific event already, but to try and have your joyful event during the horrible thing, like that's just taking away your joy of the birthday for you. It's really a shame. So shout out to you. So shout out to you, sir. Yeah. So shout out to Neil, my buddy, my pal, because pretty tough time for him, and nobody wants to be going through that. I believe he was expecting his father to pass for some time now, but still, it doesn't make it any less tough, if anything more so. So, all my best wishes with you. I got his address today because I've not seen him since I worked at Hewlett Packard. Well, I've only seen him once since I quit, and he also quit. So I've got his address, and I'll be sending him something tasty. So at least it'll give him momentary pause and let him enjoy something in life, even if it's just for 2 seconds, where he can forget the current miseries. So all the best, sir. All the best. All right. What else? In the next week, I'm also traveling for another 2 days for another conference, a workshop on Wednesday and Thursday, also in London. So I'll be traveling down very early Wednesday morning, coming back late Thursday night. Huh? What's happening? Keep on trucking. Okay. So yeah, I'm away for the 3rd and the 4th for a couple of days. And then I'll be back on Thursday night, and I've got, so I'll be here next week, which is good. The week after that, I will not, for doubly reasons. One, I'm going to be traveling, and 2, it's Valentine's Day anyway. So I'll be spending time with Kitten all day, and then I'm traveling on that night, most likely. So that day I'll either not be on, or we might have to arrange it for earlier in the week or something, if possible. If not, I don't know what we'll do. Then the week after that, I'll be back here, but I'll be promptly leaving again that weekend. So this is where we're going to have to talk about getting time shift from the 21st through the 6th. We'll manage something. So the worst weekends are going to be the 14th and the 21st, and maybe the 6th. The 28th, Kitten's going to be in France anyway, so I'm not going to bother coming back up to Scotland. I'm going to just stay back down at work, which means I'll be at B&B all weekend, which means I'll have access to Wi-Fi, which means we can do the show, but I'll be using the Mac. So, or maybe I'll actually find a way to do it on the work laptop. That might be come through a bit cleaner. I don't know. But yeah, so I'll definitely be here 28th, and I'll definitely be here on the 7th. But the 14th, 21st, and the 6th, they're going to be iffy. Because I'm supposed to be in Amsterdam on the 5th and 6th of March. So all those, I know, it's ridiculous. That's recreational, that one though. We're going. Hopefully, it's me, Kitten, and my parents. No, but it's still a shame for the show. I hate the fact this is always. There's a problem with having a weekend show. You'd think Sunday nights are usually the quiet time, but for me that's usually travel time. So when you're coming back from something fun, or you're heading out for the Monday for doing work or whatever. So yeah, but once all this whole spree is done, I shouldn't be traveling for a little while after this. So one more month of it, we have to endure this sort of poor attendance from me, and then hopefully I'll be back full time after that. I have no plans to. I have no. Yeah, we'll work out something. Indeed, we will work out something, and don't worry, ShowX will go on. This is not a countdown or anything. This is not foreshadowing. We have no plans to kill the show. We are just saying that the next month or so might be iffy with schedules and stuff. And we might even have to consider not doing live shows and only doing record or something like that, or just doing it at different times, or who knows? We don't know. We haven't really spoken about it, to be honest. This is all kind of new news. The fact that I've been traveling so much means we couldn't even talk outside the show, really. So, yeah. You might not even notice in the next few weeks, so who knows? Yeah, it might just be like shows go on every week and it's all fine. Who knows? We'll see what happens, right? So other than that, what else? I don't know. I've got a board game night coming up. That's going to be fun. And I think that's it. I've probably got a whole bunch of stories I could bring up, but they're all like random and not really together. Yeah, just things that have been happening. I've not fought any old women lately. I'm currently getting along with them. My dog pooed in somebody else's garden today, which was particularly difficult because... No, I didn't. I did clean up. It was technically in another person's garden because we're walking along this path next to a road, a sidewalk. Yes. And just suddenly the tank, the Dozier, decided to just bend down. He knows he's only allowed to go on grass. And technically, there was a little bit of grass going out from underneath this fence from this garden, and he aimed for that. It's funny how dogs intentionally try to stay within the rules, but they're always breaking the rules. Like, he also loves to do this thing where if I tell him to stay or to lie down and stay, he'll lie down, then he'll just start army crawling forward. Where, because I'm lying down. Yeah, you can't, and he's got this big, it's not a smile, but you can tell it's effect, his tail's wagging like crazy as he does these things, because he's just so excited, that's why he wants to army crawl. He's like, but Dad, I want to hang out with you! Army crawl forward. He's cute. Apart from when he's pooping in gardens, otherwise he's cute. So Tank as well. Yes. The tank as well, the chinchillas are fine. They had a bit of problem with their eyes, so we fixed it. And Kitten is good. Yep, she's going to go to France and visit her parents soon, so she's excited for that. And she's looking forward to her little holiday to Amsterdam as well. What were you going to say, sir? Yeah. Yeah. It's nice, especially when we live in different countries. It makes it kind of difficult all the time, so it's nice. Otherwise, yep, that's what's going on. How about you, sir? What are you up to? Issues. Hello. Yes, I can now. I couldn't before. Or that. Uh-oh, drama. I can hear both of you, which is good.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
I've never played a subcom game so long. But anyway, for me, the highlight of the weekend was playing The Division.
So we'll get to that second. So
Okay.
for those, thankfully on the video feed now I fixed it. The audio was jacked because it has been so damn long. And so that is now happy and where it's supposed to be. So hopefully everyone can hear that and be like, oh, yay, it's actually able to hear our voices on the video feed. I'll be doing some editing for this show, I can tell. Yay. La Campetta, you going to jump on with us?
Luxury in podcasts, anyway.
You could just throw on a headset. Why'd you quit? But, so it's funny because Supreme Commander's, big RTS that we all play, and it's all these units and goes on. The challenge we had with it is that, God, the first game was like 4 hours long?
Yeah, the very first Supreme Commander game was 4 hours long.
And it was ridiculous. So each time except for this match right now, every time prior, every match we had done against Supreme Commander had lasted so long, it was painful.
Yeah.
To the point where it was almost like, I want to be done.
Well, I didn't think on the first night, the second game, was that Friday? That was a Saturday. What day is today? Today's
Sunday.
Yeah, so Friday night, we played until 6 in the morning, Saturday morning, playing Supreme Commander, and I think I took a few naps. I would queue things to build and just take a little cat nap, queue some more things, and then it was crazy. We'll get to some of that as we go, and we'll talk about some of the stuff. But that was just because in this last game, I guess, well, partly with your daughter playing, because her ability to create air units and just destroy people is almost disgusting, to the point where I feel bad for anyone playing against her. Well, honestly, we played another match, our second one or whatever, which one we did. The only way we were able to break the computer was by her Air Force specifically targeting their commanders and key units. Yeah, you and I just kind of held them off and let her go in and attack.
Yeah, so she did all the offense. We just kind of slowly moved the line forward of the bases, and she'd walk in with the, I don't know, what was probably your largest force of aircraft you had the entire time you were going in there? Like, what was the biggest one push of just like, how many aircraft in one group did you have going forward? As you're thinking, yes. She's doing the numbers. She's doing the math. Because
450?
So 450, you're saying like 450 aircraft at once? just like in her units of flying in and destroying stuff. It was ridiculous. So yeah,
destruction for all.
Yeah, it was crazy.
She was definitely our offense. All right, so before we kind of take over that part, and since everyone's got cans, they can hear everything you're saying, Ken. So it's totally okay if you ask questions, continue as we talk Gamefest stuff. But what have you been doing in this geeky this week before we kind of get into everything that is, Gamefest related? Or the last 2 weeks since you haven't been here.
Yeah, I was going to say this week's been pretty weak considering I can't really geek when I brought my laptop to be able to play games, and then I just didn't have time, so I just ended up not doing that. I've been doing a lot of work, and my work's technically geeky. Other than that, I don't know. I've been playing Skyrim. I may have resubbed to a certain game.
Oh gosh! Don't tell me you're playing WoW again.
It's every 6 months, man. It's been 6 months.
Yeah, so every 6 months. Wait. So every 6 months, you start the game again, and then you realize it's a terrible game, and you stop playing it again, and you don't actually. Do you suspend your account? So my question is, do you not just play binge it for a month, and then suspend the account for 5 months, come back, use your game time again for a month, and then suspend it again so you could use that one payment for 3 years?
Friends don't let friends play.
No, you can't actually spend it. You can only pay once, and then it's there for a month regardless.
You see, you need to come over to the dark side with us, Ken, and play free-to-play MMOs if you're going to play any, like Blade and Soul. Dude, we've been playing Blade and Soul, which is free, and that way you don't feel bad. You don't have to resub. You just update it and play again. It's like what we do before Gamefest each time. We go through our archives and go oh yeah, we haven't played this game forever. Let's update it to see what it looks like.
You talk about it as it was saving money, but it costs £8 for a month, which stops me from buying many other games. This is if anything a budgeting month because of this. And besides, it's nice. I'm not actually playing one of my high levels or anything like I usually do. I've been playing an Alliance Hunter, so I've been leveling. I've been playing Ally like I did when I was 13 when I first started playing. And it's nice to go back and be walking through Stormwind, Ironforge, and everything else, and doing these old quests. And
I was say, you could just watch a video for that for the nostalgia.
I'll be bored of it again shortly. Once I get through once I get to max level, I'll be probably play for 2 more days, and then I'll know I'm done. And that'll be it until probably the next expansion again.
All right. So besides that time sink, what have you been up to?
That's it. That's my time.
That is your entire honestly, geek cred for the last 2 weeks.
Films.
Oh, you okay?
I saw Hateful 8.
Oh, have you? I still haven't seen that one.
You saw?
No desire to see that. Oh, no desire. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
It's a Tarantino film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an action. It's older than you.
Okay.
I was expecting it to be. I don't know. I didn't have high hopes.
A Pulp Fiction Western.
But. Sorry, I'm struggling to hear everything.
I say he was comparing it to a Tarantino, like a Pulp Fiction type Western or something.
Yeah, I was just saying it's Pulp Fiction with cowboy hats.
It's a lovely mix. Yeah, it's a lovely mix of a whodunit film with Western themes. It's pretty nice.
Oh, okay.
So Tarantino's known for his shock factor, right? Like he just intentionally goes out there and does violence, but it's artful violence. I'm going to say it's not violence for the sake of violence. It's violence, and usually you feel pretty good about it. It's not like it's not one of these films where they try to put you in the shoes of the person being tortured or anything. It's more along the lines of, hey, look at this crappy guy. He's a complete douche. He sucks so bad. Oh, look, he's dead. He's dying and in pain. Isn't that great? He deserves it. Look at this asshole. And in this case, it did that. It was exactly that over and over. It was just like, look at this guy being a douche, and now he's dead. And it's kind of satisfying. It feels like justice in effect.
Okay.
The entire 2.5 to 3 hour film, quite a long film, which by the way had an intermission because it was so long.
That's silly. Yes.
Filmed entirely within a wooden cabin and within a wooden carriage. Those were the 2 scenes.
So what this was the next So not Pulp Fiction, but the other Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yes.
So what this was Reservoir Dogs, but Western. Because the whole Reservoir Dogs is filmed in the one moment in the street where they actually show gunfire and stuff like that, and the rest of it's filmed in the warehouse where they all meet up. Other than like the breakfast scene or whatever they have. So it's like maybe 3 locations.
It's also a classic scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly though. It's just like a couple of locations, but oh my god, you'd think you'd be bored. But each character is so deeply interesting, and you know how Game of Thrones Joffrey, right, is well known for being like a fantastic actor because everybody hates him.
Yeah, where
right?
it does the role where you like this little shite needs to die.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of like that. You have that sort of feeling, but for different reasons. Some of them are good and some of them are bad.
Or recommended.
Enjoy them, and when there's like racism and race themes throughout.
He's been doing that a lot lately.
Yeah, pretty much anybody who's racist though, he makes sure they die a painful death. It's quite satisfying. You can go and say as many racist things you want, but you're gonna die. It's pretty much his theme.
Interesting.
Is there a webcam?
But honestly, the atmosphere, the way he does the lighting, the way the characters interact, just the subtle
Morning,
nuances of the
Fork!
characters are so interesting. Highly recommend it. Couldn't recommend the film more. If Star Wars hadn't come out this year, it'd be my film of the year already.
Oh wow!
But sadly, Star Wars got to it.
You say sadly. Well, but Star Wars came out last year.
Technically, I suppose it is. You're right. That's actually a very good point. Even though I saw Star Wars this year. Okay, I'll give it that. It's my film of 2016 so far.
So very cool. Well, that's actually the first review I've heard of the movie, because I didn't know anybody who'd actually seen it. I just kind of knew it was out, and I knew it's Tarantino.
Yeah.
I tend to like his films, although I haven't seen his last. Like I didn't see Django Unleashed or any of that, so it's kind of like.
Actually, that was pretty legit.
Yeah, I heard it was
Yeah.
good, but I still haven't.
Yeah,
No, I still haven't
Django's
seen
pretty
it.
good. Yeah.
But that's the thing. So I do like his work. I just haven't. Ken?
Yeah.
It's a really good date movie.
She's big on she's looking forward to it.
Okay, so
Okay.
she knows who
Apparently you
Deadpool
play
is.
Deadpool,
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I just love that they did the one that's like, oh, but I'm dying of cancer and I love you and we can always be. Wait, I may
can't
be
quit
saved. I may be saved. We'll see what happens. And they leave it as a deadpan romance and they don't show any of the Deadpool piece. I'm just like, oh, that's brilliant. That marketing's amazing. And I want to hear some story of somebody tricking their girl to go see it because of that. I think that would be awesome.
There'll be a few, I'm pretty sure, and that was intentional. That's they understand how to make people talk about their film on social media. That's
Oh, gosh.
the whole
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
They are
It's not the
totally
initial
aware.
media, right?
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
That's free advertising. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's really expensive advertising, but then making other people continue on.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah. The initial. Yeah. No.
Sorry, my audio was doing silly
but
things.
yeah.
Did I screw it up for everyone?
It's no problem. So that's been my weekend away in Geek as well. What about everybody else?
All right, so for us in Geek, I mean, it is Gamefest. And it's funny because if you watch on the video at all, you'll see our expressions. And I think Campo and I both said it, or you said it best, but it's kind of like, you know, we're upstairs after one of our many gaming sessions and kind of just lingering around tables and such. And it was kind of just the, I'm old.
Yeah.
Because we continue to try to game and party over these weekends like we did when we started doing this over 10 years ago. And it feels different.
I feel old.
I mean, and it's sad, right? How bad is our lives that it's like, I feel so old because I'm playing so many games and I'm having so much fun hanging out with my friends that I'm old.
I'm so tired.
Well, I got my Czech liver light on. I mean, yeah, it's bad.
It's pain. I mean, for me, it's like my eyes hurt. And that's something we both ran into last night.
Yeah.
This morning, whenever it was.
Whatever time it was, yeah.
But there was a point where we were looking at our screens and we both got up and we started rubbing our eyes like, oh my God, they burn. My eyes burn. It's been too much too much like monitor time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And just in general terms, we started Thursday night like we do.
Yep.
I stayed up till like 4 in the morning, got up at like 8. So about 4 hours of sleep between Thursday and Friday. I had to go to the DMV and get my truck registered, so that was part of it. I said, yeah, you still haven't done your... And then because it's the end of this month, I had to have a new tag on it by today. And then it's not the weekend's closed. But then I had Friday night to Saturday. I think I slept 1 hour in my chair in front of the computer down here in the basement. And then last night, Saturday to Sunday. Last night, I think I slept 4 or 5 hours in my basement. Actually, no, you guys switch. You have the long ones. Those are the short ones. But that I got so maybe another hours or 4 hours of sleep this morning, sitting in my chair right where I am now, where I just kind of leaned back, closed my eyes, and said, screw it, I'm out. I didn't even go up to my bedroom this whole weekend other than to change clothes and take showers. It's so bad. And, I have to give credit. We finally got to a stage at Gamefest that I haven't seen happen for years and years, which is Biebs fell asleep in the gaming chair over here on the floor in the basement on the first night. Last night on the second night. Last night was Mike asleep in the gaming chair on the ground here in the basement, and Unit Zero. No, this is last night. And Unit Zero under his computer under the table last night here. And such. And so it was a level of people actually crashing.
And Biebs was crashed out by 2:33.
Well, okay. As per usual.
He went beast mode.
Yeah, the Biebs. Okay, so it's one thing, and we're talking about our age, right? And we just kind of drank consistently through the week. I didn't even drink that bad. I never got drunk. You had a bit.
I didn't get Biebs drunk.
No, so that's a special level, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else here got Biebs drunk.
No.
Because Biebs drunk is drunk enough to actually be slurring constantly.
Biebs drunk is when you start speaking in tongues.
Well, okay. Biebs drunk is when you get on TeamSpeak, and I do hope because we did play Gamefest this time with others on our TeamSpeak, on the VTW TeamSpeak, so that people were playing all kinds of different games. We'll get to which games they're playing, but
even people not here.
Yeah, people that we normally been gaming with on VTW anyways, because that's one of the things. We throw our Gamefest, we're all here locally, but we'll play with everyone online. If you jump into TeamSpeak and you see us playing, by all means, jump in with us.
Come on in.
So we'll talk about some of those games, but Biebs drunk is the level of we were in TeamSpeak, trying to explain how to connect in a game. Simple things like accepting a request to join a group.
Accept the invite.
Just accept the invite.
Hit the word accept.
We'll hit this. You'll see a little pop-up. Just say yes. And what we got of that was
his mouse and keyboard were outsmarting him at that point.
There was a definite interface error somewhere between the chair and his keyboard.
Yeah. It was, there was a broken interface in there somewhere. We haven't narrowed it down yet.
And the worst part is you can't hate it because he would just giggle.
Well, we've all been there.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
He'd be so
Not
drunk.
this Gamefest.
Not this Gamefest.
But he was still just having a good time. He'd be like,
there was no keg this time. If there had been a keg, might have been different.
I can't. Gosh, I don't know how to say. I can't cackle like his evil drunken cackle.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has one. It's one of the craziest things where he'll start laughing. You're like, he's murdering people, in real life. Anyhow, so yeah, there's that. Oh gosh, so much alcohol. But we ate well. We had real meals, and to a point where we had so many people contribute food to this Game Fest that on Friday, I think it was, people were saying, "Hey, I'm coming back. Do we need anything?" I was like, "No.
Yeah, stop bringing
food. Yeah. We're not going to be able to eat everything we have."
Yeah.
And we filled up most of the basement. We missed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions maybe. So we had 24-ish.
Ish, yeah.
24-ish people set up. So it was a big Game Fest. And we still have a little bit of extra food, but we did well.
Yeah.
All right.
There's still lots of gaming going on, and it's Sunday.
Yeah,
Look at
it's
this.
gaming, and even though we've had the normal people kind of drop off, there's still a lot of people.
This is kind of unusual
really
for
nice.
Sunday, actually.
Really unusual. Usually by the time the show starts, there's 3 computers down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Hando should be happy because I look
Rocket
over
Leagues.
and Fork and Dragon are both playing Rocket League
So
right
is Unit.
now.
And Unit.
I think Biebs is
As
too.
well as Unit. And
Yeah, we
I
got
don't know
Biebs
what
into it.
Hey, Biebs is playing Rocket League.
All you
Aware and
dirty
coherent.
sons of bitches and your controllers, man, I tell you.
Hey, controllers work for Rocket
tell
League.
you.
Hey, we got Fork to use a keyboard and mouse.
What did she?
Oh, she's playing Battlefield.
Battlefield.
Yeah, she was actually mouse and keyboarding
She
in
hasn't been
Battlefield.
able to set up her controller for Battlefield.
She's like, how do you crouch? And I was like, C. How do you go
gosh.
prone?
So yeah, one of our
Control.
discussions, Ken, that we always have when we talk to Fork, who's sitting next to me, because we always joke how she plays everything with a controller, as she is now.
All the things.
Is that
Yeah.
she will in game a new game, will jump in there and be like,
hey guys, how do you do this? And we're like, you hit this button right on the keyboard. You hit C to crouch, or you hit like shift to run, and she's like,
she doesn't have a keyboard yet.
No, and she's like, is
she
it
has
left
a keyboard,
bumper, or is it like,
she's
X?
Xbox
It's
controlling?
Like, we're like, I don't know. You're speaking voodoo or something. It's
and it mads me sometimes because she is pretty freaking good at first-person shooters with that controller, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be able to do that on PC.
Yeah, that is. Well, the frustration is like, God, if she would just go to a keyboard and mouse, think how good she would be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even better. The next level. Yeah.
Yeah. And so randomness of that.
We digress.
So we're gonna talk games, and actually playing some games.
All right, let's see. First game we played was Rainbow Six Siege, right?
I think we jumped on some Siege almost right away. So
I think that was the first one.
So people who haven't known, Rainbow Six, we've talked about a little bit. I think I have a little bit that it's a tactical shooter, slower paced. You get one life, and your job is to either attack or defend a position with some various objectives that are different from.
You actually got to use your brain to play this game.
And coordinate with a team.
And coordinate with your team. You can't just twitch to win. Yeah.
Yeah. No, turning around the corner, being the first to pull the trigger, does not mean you'll win.
No.
And so you have to aim. You have to hit
This
location makes a
actually
huge
sounds
difference.
Fun.
Oh, it is. It is. I like it.
It is fun. It is frustrating.
Totally worth $30 if you can find it for that price.
And
really?
Yeah. So it's a full price game to a degree, but we've seen it on sale constantly.
Depends where you go to look. Yeah, you got to look.
Well, and even the first day, and it sucked because I was telling people in one of the chats about it, but that day it expired. But in the Humble Bundle store, which is still going on, I think through today or something, they had it on sale at one point for $30. But it was only for like a day.
Oh, that's totally worth that price.
And then it was gone. I was like, sorry guys, you missed it.
Yeah, I mean, it is Ubisoft, so there are some server issues.
Well, it's Ubisoft, so you have to use the Ubisoft launcher Uplay, which I always forget it's called Uplay.
And it's one of those games where if they would have just given us dedicated servers, perfect game of the year type material. But because the cloud, whatever that, no one knows what the hell a cloud is, but because they give us those servers and they're garbage. I'm not going to get into that. It makes me mad. The game is good though. So that was the first game we played. We had a couple hours of that. Then we went on with our Supreme Commander 8 or 10 hour freaking long game, and I think that ended Thursday.
That was like the end of Thursday.
Is that Thursday? Yeah, it was Thursday.
Yeah, that was Thursday.
Yeah, and then Friday, that's when Division came out.
So one of the things we've been looking forward to, and it's always fun when at a Gamefest or a LAN party like we have, when something else happens in the gaming world. And for this one, it was that they released a closed beta, essentially, mostly, beta for Tom Clancy's The Division, which is also interesting because it's another Ubisoft game.
Another Ubisoft. These servers don't suck, though.
So, it's crazy, right? Well,
I mean, give them a couple patches, they might mess it up, but right now they don't.
Still not a fan of Uplay, but... So Tom Clancy, though, all their shooters have been more of that realistic, tactical, kind of interesting one. The Division, which I think the first E3 video for it was what, like 2013 or something like that?
It was 4 years ago.
Yeah, so they've been hinting at this somewhat future, not even futuristic.
Yeah, modern.
Just beyond today, modern shooter.
Yeah.
Taking place in a large city. And so it comes coming out. It comes out, March 16th or something like that? Middle of March?
10th, I think.
10th?
I don't actually know.
But middle of March, this game's slated to come out. And...
Well, I went into this game hesitant because it was an RPG / MMO / third-person shooter. I don't like any of those kinds of games. But... I enjoyed the heck out of this game. I really did. It held my attention. It still held my attention.
And I will tell you this, because I was actually surprised and a little concerned. Because, Ken, you get a new game and you start playing it, you kind of enjoy it. I got in first because you had passed out at that point. You had to take the wife home. Was it on?
I think the check liver light came on. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But however it was, when it came online, I was the first one here to install and actually start playing it. And so as I started playing it, I was like, all right, I'm enjoying this. It reminds me a lot of Gears of War, but with a larger team. Instead of just two people running together, a larger team.
And it's New York City to scale.
So one of the key things is when they came up with the full city, they do like all of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And at least in the beta, they've got a lot modeled in there. It's kind of surprising for it being closed in a lot of areas where it said you can't go here.
Yeah, I think it's only 3 square miles in the beta.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
You can run the whole thing in about 10 minutes.
But the reason it's like slightly futuristic, Ken, is that it's not
future weapons. It's not that. It's all modern weapons today. They just kind of do an augmented reality piece to it.
Yeah.
Where you basically have some kind of heads-up display that shows you your HUD, essentially like you would in a game. They give you some level. Like, did you ever play Watch Dogs?
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. It was a game.
Okay, so one of the things I describe this as
could have been
this is like if Watch Dogs was good.
Yeah, that is a really good way to put it.
Because it has some of the augmented reality aspects of like Watch Dogs, but it's not all about hacking and doing that, right? But it has kind of that feel to it. And I think it was Dr. Ben who I can never say it. Yeah,
he uses all of the letters in the alphabet in his name.
I'll either say DJ Bullock or Ben. Anyway.
Yeah.
He was telling me that this is like the current iteration. It's the first game that's coming out on this new engine that Ubisoft's developed. Forget the name of the engine, but it's essentially a child of all of the different Assassin's Creed engines. So it's got that whole super open world field without the full like parkour.
So pretty.
It's got kind of limited.
It's beautiful.
You can turn parkour on though.
Well, but I mean, it's not like you're climbing buildings.
Oh no, you're not doing all that.
And when we say the city's modeled, you can't go inside every building. But all the city blocks are there, and actual street names of the city. So think of going to like Edinburgh or something, and being able to run around essentially all of it. So again, it's like the Assassin's Creed level, where it's this massive city, and they have the street names up on the signs.
Do you think people who live in Manhattan have a huge advantage when the game comes out? They can just go in and know where everything is.
I bet they could. But hey, meet me on the corner of Pennsylvania and something. They're like, I know exactly where the hell that is.
Well, and because they actually use landmarks in the game.
They do.
They say, here's Koreatown, and here's this building, and here's that building. So you could easily be like, oh yeah, it's just like, yeah, man, it's just like 4 blocks up the street out to the right. Come on. And so it's like, I can imagine it being, that would be an advantage. Well, and in a way it's nice, right? Because it's kind of like in the Assassin's Creed game, one of the things I loved about those is always seeing a big city and getting a feel like, well, maybe this is what this would have looked like in its heyday. And how cool would that have been, right? To be able to see it.
Feels like you're in friggin' New York.
It feels like I've never been.
And dude, the physics engine, amazing.
All right, so that's the layout of the game. Yeah. The story of the game.
Oh, so the story basically is Black Friday. You know how we Americans love shopping. America.
And DJ Bullock just jumped in and said the name of it is Snowdrop Engine.
Okay, Snowdrop.
He chimed in on Steam chat.
Oh, is that what the Steam was? I heard that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, and it was a weaponized virus was used against New York City during Black Friday. So casualties were mammoth.
Yeah, it kills everybody.
There's dead bodies all over the streets. Literally all over everywhere.
This is like shortly after, because you go into what are contaminated zones.
I believe it's 7 days after.
Is it only like a week after?
Yeah.
Wow. And you're being sent in as a special operative to help deal with the situation.
Restore order, because it's now martial law. People are either starving on the street or killing people to not starve on it. Looting.
And you see, like, in those, especially in the contamination zones, because they have both an area that's kind of just outside of what's contamination, where people survived and they're still living, but you can tell it's rough. It's still the martial law area and stuff like that. That's a little safer. And the way they broke out the game for it, in those areas, they have kind of that single/co-op version multiplayer side of it, where you can go through missions in the game, and they assign you stuff to kind of help do that restoring of order. Setting up a base of operations, getting it going, finding people who are helpful in the city.
We definitely learned the hard way last night that co-op is so important.
So the separate side of that is in the contamination zone, which is kind of the no man's land. This is where the virus hit. This is where everybody died. You walk in there, and the streets are a mess. There's burning cars. There's bodies and body bags just strewn throughout the city. It's really a mess. Well, that is essentially the PvP zone.
Yeah.
Or the open... Yeah, PvP. It's like if you were playing on a PvP server in WoW, and you have the faction areas that are safe for you, the PvE sides, and so that's like the main storyline city. But when you go into the contamination zone, that's like going to, what was the forest in WoW that you'd go to at low level and then back again at high level, where the Booty Bay was, where the pirates? The one in the south. It was a forest land in the south on the east side, east continent. What's that one called? Somebody help me. Where Booty Bay and where that whole zone where everyone used to talk. Stranglethorn. Yeah, Stranglethorn Valley. And so in Stranglethorn, it was kind of like going on a PvP server.
The jungle, not forest.
That's similar. They're trees and
Wildland.
But going to Stranglethorn And when you're low level and there's people up high and stuff like that, and it's all PvP zone. Because you've experienced that, Ken, right? Have you ever done a PvP server there, or you get flagged PvP, and all of a sudden you're looking everywhere, and you're like, are you friendly? Or are you an enemy, right? So in the contamination zone, it's that way. It can be PvP or not, depending on what you're doing. And it's very WoW-like in the sense for an MMO, because this is where it kind of blends those genres. It's a shooter. It's a third-person over-shoulder shooter that you can be teamed up in, a group of 4 as much as we know for sure now.
Well, we did 4. I don't know. We definitely saw
but you can
people
still
doing
be
7.
bigger groups of people who are working together.
Yeah.
Whether they're all in one group, we don't know.
Right.
But you'll get into these zones, and there's just people running around, right? And right now it's beta, so it wasn't fully fleshed out. They had a couple missions initially in there.
Yeah.
And then it became just kind of like you can go back through and grind NPCs to get loot drops.
Yep.
And the theory in the loot drop setup is you go, you take out some NPCs, they drop some good loot, but all the loot in the contamination zone is so contaminated, you can't just walk it out.
Right.
Because it's got the virus. So instead what you have to do is go to an extraction zone, which is either a rooftop or an open quad area in a city.
They're predetermined zones.
That have little helicopter pad things, and shoot a flare in the air to call a helicopter extraction. And then what it does is a helicopter flies in after 2 minutes or a minute and a half?
About a minute and a half.
And there's a countdown, and when it happens, you'll get everybody, whether you set it off or other people, calling the extraction.
That flare gun's not quiet.
Yeah, you hear this huge flare gun go off. It's actually, we'll get into the graphics next.
Yeah.
But it goes up there and boom, and you hear it, and you can see on your map there's an extraction happening over here in this time, which causes people to congregate.
Yep.
Because the idea is
even the AI congregate. I mean,
it depends on what your AI will show up. But it's an extraction comes down, a helicopter comes over, it drops a rope that has 4 slots on it that you can then take a pouch of any of these loot items you have and hang it on, and once it pops it out, it takes it to a clean zone, it gets cleaned up, and it goes into your stash. And so you're grinding for materials, but what that causes is both for everyone to show up in one place, and for the loot, you can only do 4 at a time. So 4 people, the first 4 to get on there and attach, can get on. After that, you have to wait till it goes away, and then you can call another helicopter in. So you get this point where a lot of people start congregating. Now here's the challenge. Within your group, you're friendly. And everyone else starts out white. Meaning they're just, and you put a cursor over them, it says neutral.
Well, non-hostile.
Or non-hostile, right,
yeah.
Non-hostile. Neutral is like the actual NPCs. So non-hostile. However, that is a very fluid condition. Essentially, this being a shooter, if you aggro, so if you just start spraying bullets, for whatever reason, whatever your motivation might be, at someone who's friendly or currently not engaged with you, you get marked, much like in an MMO, as being hostile. In this case, a rogue agent. And as a rogue agent, it is now safe for anybody else to fight you. And in a game like The Division in a beta where there's not a lot of missions and people are looking for things to do, stuff happens.
Yeah. So last night, initially, Paz and I get on. And his Paz just downloaded. He's going through, trying to learn the buttons and stuff. And I'm not very good at MMOs and RPGs, so I'm kind of stumbling myself.
Oh yeah, so we're playing it like a shooter, and apparently there's menus and crafting.
Yeah, there's like crafting,
and there's ways to blend like the items you get with different things to get your best stats.
Yeah, I thought guns were guns, but apparently not. Yeah. So anyway, Paz and I go into this dark zone, which is the PvP area, and it turns out there's this roaming band of about 7 rogue agents going around just being rogue agents. So Paz and I are like, you know what? We'll put a stop to this. We're good at shooters. This game's not a shooter.
If you watch other people go, you can basically kill them and steal their loot. And then you can do the extraction with their loot. And so that's one of the reasons that the extraction area becomes this congregation, because if you're being outlaws, if you're being rogues, you can camp it, wait for someone to do an extraction, wait for them to just about hook it on the helicopter, and then lay them out. Throw a grenade, kill them all, run over, grab their thing, and you extract it.
Yep.
And
now it's yours.
How crappy is that as a person? I mean, you do have to point and shoot.
Yeah, there's so much more to it. So I was like, well, damn it, we're like, Doc, get on with us. We need another teammate. So once Doc gets on, we hold our own a little better. But if we could have had a few more teammates, I think we would have
6.
Yeah, like an actual even match. Yeah, because we kept getting flanked, and it was crazy. It was fun.
Yeah.
So there's certain things with the voice chat in the game too.
Oh, okay. There? So
Oh yeah.
So with the multiplayer aspect, that's the thing. You can aggro, your whole group can, and then you run around as rogue agents, and you do, but you can. And so now when you do extractions, everybody doesn't just run over blindly and throw their loot on it. It's like, all right, guys, I'm going to hit the extraction, and everyone else is like covering. And as you're covering, you're looking at these other people who are currently, non-aggressive, and deciding, are you going to shoot me? Are you going to cause some crap? Huh? Are you cool? Are you cool? And because if not, it turns into this massive firefight, and like it becomes everybody starts killing.
And then inevitably you get AI involved. I don't know where these guys come in from.
So if you keep looting the same place too many times, then when you go to an extraction, AI comes in.
Yeah, so that's all you need is rogue and AI shooting at you.
And the problem is, and I saw this happen, the problem is you'll shoot at an AI and someone else will be next to him, and the problem is if someone accidentally shoots like once, they start flashing like they're going to turn red if they shoot another person who's not aggroed. And I can mistaken that for an NPC, and I think I'm the one who got us in trouble the one time.
Yeah, we were rogue status for up to, I think it was 5 minutes once, where Paz and I were running, I think it's after you already logged out.
Yeah,
Paz and I were running around the dark zone. You can't leave once you're rogue.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Like, you're stuck there until the timer runs out.
Wow.
So we're just running around trying not to get murdered by all the people that are bored and hunting rogue agents.
Yeah, because as soon as you see a rogue agent, you're like, ooh, let's kill them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in WoW. If you're playing on a PvE server, you never see people who are flagged red, right? And so the one time you see someone flagged aggro, I can attack them?
Yeah.
Instantly you perk up, and you're like, let's all get them.
And that's the thing, once you're rogue, you flag on the radar, the map, like everything is like, they're right there. Yeah, so Pause. We hunkered down for a little bit, and we held a couple people off. But
it's so much
all in all fun. All in all
right,
fun.
So that's kind of the basis of how the gameplay is. Now I want to talk about the actual game and kind of the technology.
Okay.
So we talked about the city. The big things are, I think, the visuals and the sound. So I think first let's talk the audio.
So one thing I loved about the audio was the in-game chat. So while you're near any agent, you can hear them talking.
So by default, everybody's mic is cracked.
Right.
But this is one of the first games I've seen where they're actually implementing audio based on how close you are to someone in the game.
And it's directional.
And direction.
Yeah.
And so as you're running along, and we did this a lot of times when people were above us in like the next story up, I suddenly just start hearing some random dude saying, hey bro, no, I think they're downstairs, man, I think they're downstairs.
And those were the rogues.
And when we were hunting the rogues.
So I can actually hear, as one of the drops, it was me, Paz, and Doc were doing, I had one of the other players get near me, and I could hear him talking to his teammates about taking our shit.
Yeah, so
and I'm like, hey,
basically they were saying
they're
we're
about to attack
us.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can hear. I don't think he knows I can hear him, but I can hear everything he is saying.
Yeah.
So then we all aimed at him, and they're like, "We're about to get our butts kicked. We got to go." And then they all ran off. It was.
It's funny, right? Because you can hear people having conversations.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And that was the first time I realized was like, that's not Doc or Paz's voice.
And that was the problem because we were all on TeamSpeak.
Yeah.
And so being on TeamSpeak, it was like, okay. And so. Yeah, it was an advantage for us, right?
Yeah.
Because the first part is whenever we get in a game that has enabled voice chat, what we hear is echoes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Dude, why do I hear you twice? What? Dude, turn off the in-game voice.
Yeah, we turned push to talk on, and I don't think most of the players realized that was a thing.
So, but I mean, the convenience of it is you can now group up with anyone randomly too, because you could just hear them talk.
Oh, and you can also do that
just
with anyone.
Up to somebody on the stream, like, hey, what are you doing?
Well,
and you can actually invite them to your squad.
Oh yeah, and so you can just random.
Doesn't DayZ do something similar? I don't know. I don't actually played it much, but
which one?
I think it does. I think DayZ.
So I haven't played DayZ.
The only one I played was the original Arma 2 mod, so it's been ages. Now, this game does have kind of a feel of DayZ to it a little bit, except it's 100 million times more refined, and without the zombies.
So for being a beta, it's other than some stability issues and little things like that, it's looking amazing.
The only crashes I had was because I overclocked my PC.
When Nick brings his computer into the basement and it's cold and it's winter out, he's like, well, obviously, I can now overclock it to like 4.5 gig.
Oh, you're supposed to, aren't you? I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
Is that why you put your computer by the window?
Yeah.
Just crack the window, take a vent, and put it right into the computer?
That's why he takes the outside air and blows it directly into his computer.
Yeah, it's great when you feel your video card blowing out cold air out the exhaust.
Yeah, so at that point, Campo's like, Well, obviously I can run it faster.
Yeah.
Why would anything have a problem with that? It's faster.
Just the beta. Every other game's fine with it.
I ran into a couple little issues with this.
But yeah, so there's some stability issues, but it doesn't come out till March. So we have So the other thing about the audio, and this is another kind of thing, just that the open talk and why. In the past, I was like, oh, that'd be cool. This one, it's like, yes, and necessary. And it's funny because I know we're just going to gush about the Division because we really enjoyed it.
It was fun.
But is that there was a point where we were running with just like a random squad of people that were all friendlies. We had our squad, and there were just others following us. And we had this a few times where it's like, all right, this guy's cool. And there'd be 3 of us, and we invite him in, and we run for a while. And you could just start talking and not say like, hey, jump on our team speak, right? It was just like, hey, jump in, cool. But there was at least one shot where it was kind of we suddenly ran into NPCs. And so everybody, just like AI, and so everybody just started like, oh, crud, and started shooting. And in doing so, there was one guy who accidentally hit somebody, right? And it comes up with that, like, he was red. Now all of us were looking at him like he was just short of, being a rogue agent. Everyone was like, oh, dude, I can come back at you now that you shot us. And he instantly, over the voice, he was just like, dude, sorry, totally accident. Did not mean to shoot you, dude. I'm not trying to do it, not trying to start anything. I just crossed line of fire, sorry. And he said it like a few times because everyone kind of like instantly turns their guns.
Oh, dude, as soon as someone turns rogue, you're like,
everyone
you're about
like
to get
pointed at him. He's like, he was totally doing it like, so sorry, dude, so sorry, my bad. But it's great because it's that instant voice chat, not just someone typing something. And so it felt very...
But it's so fun if somebody's not spelling badly in your direction.
Yeah.
Well, but you could hear it in the voice, though. So it was almost that instant...
You could hear the panic in his voice, yeah.
You could hear the panic. The guy was seriously like, dude, no, sorry, man. Sorry, seriously,
And another cool thing is AI is in the city, so you can hear guys inside the buildings, walking on the street. So there's one time someone had shot a dog because the dogs are a little menacing.
That might have been a certain doctor.
Yeah. And then you heard someone yell out the window, how'd you like it if someone shot you like a dog? And you're like, who said that? And you're like kind of looking around like, dude.
No, I saw the guy open the window, lean out. And just like, another guy was like, dog, what'd you do that for, man? It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Just like to make you feel bad about like shooting a dog in the street. Oh, it's so funny.
And then and there's another ways there an XP down the street where people come up and ask you for a bottle of water or a can of food, and you give it to them, and you're an XP.
Yeah, you give some of your supplies, and they'll give you an item.
That's
and
cool.
Stuff. There's so many cool.
There's so many little random. Yeah,
it's super polished. That's what's awesome about that.
Yeah, and it's beta.
Realism as well.
Yeah, total realism, random encounters. The background noise, and it's an adult title, so you'll hear people cursing out. It sounds very much like people in the aftermath of a apocalypse.
You can hear people arguing with each other. I heard one guy yell to another guy, he's like, who's got some booze? And you hear another guy go, I'm all out, man. Like,
There's so much flavor in it.
Yeah.
So the graphics. So we talked audio, and the audio fits, and it's in the game, and it's refreshing.
Very
cool.
three-dimensional audio, very crisp.
That was the best part.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. There's a guy back here. And it's funny because even if you die, one last piece on it, like I got killed by one of the guys that group that we were trying to kill, and got flanked. Guy came up and just took me out, and this other random that was helping us. Good. And when he took us out, admittedly, it didn't get the rage up, but it was kind of like hearing him talk to his friends. Because I could hear him as I was dead. His voice was like, "No, I got those two MFs up on the thing, guys. I got them. We're cool." I was just like, you bastard."
Yeah.
But again, it's just
they were very coordinated and good.
Oh, we wanted to get them so bad.
Yeah.
We wanted to so bad.
We probably spent the better part of 2 hours trying to go kill them, and we'd get one or two of them, and kept failing.
They were good.
Well, and that's where the modding of the guns comes in.
Yeah, because they were higher level.
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
They had better armor.
I just thought I shoot them, they die, but that's not how that works.
Yeah, not Call of Duty in this game. So the other aspect is the graphics, because with this new engine and such a big open world, you have to have something that can capture that look and feel. Now, only because I have played Fallout 4 recently and modded the crap out of it, did I have the comment that I felt like it could have used some slightly higher res textures?
Yes.
Only because of that. Because just the game by itself, it is damn pretty.
It is.
And I can really attest to the textures. We installed it on my rig with the 4K setup.
Yeah, with your 4K monitor.
And the particle effects look beautiful, but you can definitely see in the textures that it's not 4K optimized for textures.
Yeah, I mean, this comes out on console as well, right? It's on the Xbone,
and there's
as well as this stuff. And so
a couple of snags I hit that
peasants.
they're going to be fixing, apparently. Because I did actually look up a lot of the stuff about the technical issues of the game, because it doesn't work with multiple graphics cards.
That's what
fine.
That's what
you're not running it in 4K.
That's a lie.
But
that's why I didn't play Fallout 4.
But yeah, they're going to actually be upgrading this game to DirectX 12 when that comes out.
Yes.
So that'll be amazing, especially if you got those AMD cards.
I can't speak to the graphics enough. It is amazing. Yeah, and it's a beta.
Beautiful.
And it's very rare to have a beta this well put together, this polished.
Well, the thing about the graphics is there's so much content here, but everything's detailed.
Yeah,
the
blowing
game is
snow.
Well,
flags,
and there's like the way they arrange boxes and trash and just items in the game.
Just the way they
so
put the world
done.
together is great, right?
Yeah.
But when you're talking the actual quality of the graphics, one of the things. So the reason I talk about this, Ken, is the best comparison I have is kind of Fallout 4, heavily modified to look good. But like think Fallout 4 with the cities, but dense because it's a downtown urban environment. And so it has all the stuff going on. And it really does have that feel like the quality. And this is the weird part. Everybody keeps talking about Skyrim, and Fallout and stuff like, oh, if only they had a multiplayer or a co-op, right?
Yeah.
Then it would be amazing. And I'm like, I love this single player. This one feels like it scratches that itch a lot. Because it's kind of that shooter aspect and feel of a Fallout where it's not a straight shooter, right? But it's got that. It's like Fallout multiplayer, but without the future aspect. And the graphics, honestly, almost put Fallout to shame.
Puts a lot of games that I've seen recently to shame. I really have a hard time thinking of anything that looks better.
So the world itself, again, slightly better textures, and there's nothing. It beats Grand Theft Auto. I haven't played Witcher yet to know, because Witcher's amazing, but it's one of those where this one has this huge, beautiful feel to it. And the one I want to say, it's the atmospherics.
Yeah, that's...
The environment, because you're in you're in New York, it's kind of wintry.
The weather changes.
The weather
change, man.
Yeah, the snow.
Snow was brutal. It's beautiful.
And that's the thing. It's so pretty.
And the lighting.
At the one point where we were hunting those rogues last night, fog rolled in. And I was like, I can see his name, but it must be behind cover because I'm shooting at his name, but it's not doing anything. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I got to a point where I know DJ Bullock and I were running together for about... And the snow got so thick we couldn't see each other 10 feet away from each other.
Oh, and when the light was shining through the snow, like you could see the beams of light
So
through
the idea
snow.
of like, not even God rays, but the idea of like those lights that just kind of get diffused. And they have spotlights in the game and stuff like that. So your character can walk by lights and you see that light shine. Like headlights are blinding.
Yeah.
You'll come around a corner into headlights of a car that's sitting there and you just can't see anything. Or walking from indoors to outdoors, the way your eyes change. And it's just, oh my gosh. So pretty.
Yeah, if you're like in a dark area and you walk outside, you're like blinded for a second, That's cool. Super cool.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things definitely talk is just like, this is one of the prettiest games I've played in a long time, and it's in beta. I can only think it's going to get better.
That's the hope.
Yeah, I think it will.
All right. So with this, and Ken, I don't know if you need a moment for a break or anything, or if anyone else does. A break. We can take one. Or we can continue. What are your thoughts, Ken? I know the internet between us is freaking out.
Yeah, I can barely hear you guys, so a break might be good just so that we can give the internet a break for a second.
All right, so let's take a break. Let me find some music to throw in between. And then that way we can refresh drinks, things like that. Everybody who's listening audio can try to play around and listen video as well if they like, or see it differently that way. Let's see. Let me grab... I like how I go through my list and I just kind of randomly, how much time do I want? This is how much time I want. And I throw this in here and I tell it that I want to say, nope, not that. That. I put copy's name or voice in here to say, hey, talk to us on the show. And I have her telling you where you are, and then I say, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after this song from OC Remix. It's a Final Fantasy VII one, just because I found it and it's long enough. So we're going to rest our voice. We'll be right back, and hopefully Ken's internet will start sounding better. Come on, Scotland, you can play. Oh, please work.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com.
Hey, everybody, we're back! Although Ken is not, so I'll try to give him a call back here and see if it's going to work now that we're giving his stream a rest. We'll see if this actually works for him or not. Boop, 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 boop. I should have grabbed more drink. Oh well. Let's see. Scribble quickly makes a new cup of tea. And haha, there is a Ken, and hopefully we've given the internet enough time between us to find a new route through government-sponsored internets or something.
See, I can see all 8 pixels of your camera, so I think it's going fine.
You sound a lot better now.
Well, no, it's still saying problems, and I think the stream's coming out good because the YouTube channel's telling me that's getting good data, so it's somewhere
too much
somewhere in the
Rocket
pond in between. No, I mean our upload's fine. So
well, the internet's actually been really good this time around.
Again, upping it to full class, business class helps.
That helps.
If only I could do this all the time. And here's a quick note from last week's, because when I got us back online for the 24/7 server by working with Gnomewise, much thanks to Alpha Geek Radio for now the new host of the 24/7 server for VTWProductions.com is Alpha Geek Radio. Thank you to the loveliest of gnomes, Gnomewise. Since he got us set up there, and the discussion between us, I don't know if I mentioned it before, something like this. I had gotten everything set up running on the server that Mike had given me and ready to do my own Shoutcast server direct. And in setting it up and ready to go, I was having troubles exposing it to the internet. I was able to locally connect to it, like all set, ready to go. Couldn't see it from outside, so I couldn't get it to the website. So I talked to Gnome about it a little quick, sent him an email finally like, all right, I've done everything I can, rescue me. And then he contacted, he's like, well, after the show, give me a call and we'll figure this out. So got on with him, and we were talking a little bit. I was like, I'm just trying to figure out. He's like, here, I set something up real quick. I'll just set up your guys' 24/7 stream on, or your Shoutcast server on one of my other servers sitting in the closet or something. It's like, dude, I have one. I can run it. I was like, well, he's like, well, what's your upload like? I was like, well, normally it's like 10 down or 10 up and like 50 down or something like that from Comcast. That should be good. We don't get enough listeners all the time on the 24/7 stream to really saturate. I think we'd be all right. And he's like, well, my server that's sitting kind of idle there. I mean, it's got a gigabit upload. And I was like, oh, wow. I see. And he's like, but, I mean, so we could put it there. I mean, the server's really not doing much. I mean, until you saturate that connection. At which point I said, yes, at which point I retire because I'm now an actual famous caster.
Yeah.
That I have so many people listening to an audio feed from his server that it saturates a gigabit uplink.
What's the stream? 128
so we've
kilobits?
got our main one's 56K because it's a monotone low one, and then our high one's 128-bit.
That's
nothing.
That's over like 100,000 concurrent listeners.
It's stupid, right? So when I'm at that point that we're competing against, Total Biscuit's YouTube streams and League of Legends on a competition weekend or something, then by all means, yes, we'll have to upgrade our server. But yeah, that's how that discussion went. So much shouts out to Alpha Geek Radio.
One day.
What's that?
One day.
Yeah, one day. We wait for that day. The amazing day when, yes, we have all the listeners. When we cover a whole hemisphere of people listening to Show X. It'd be wonderful. Anyhow, so as we're talking, so finish up the division. Essentially, the beta, I think we said it may end today. We're not entirely sure.
It ends tonight, I believe.
So we'll probably try to get at least a little more time onto that before I just crash because my body gives up. Highly recommended. We got in through NVIDIA. They had passes that were given out, so it wasn't just an open beta. You had to at least register and go through. Don't know if they're going to run another beta before it hits. It'd be interesting. You could tell there's a lot more story to be had. So on initial concepts, I think all of us were kind of like, they probably have my money. They don't know it yet, but they probably have my money.
I got to learn how to RPG. Because the last RPG I actually ever sat down and played was Dragon Warrior on the NES.
Which, for anyone who's been on the VTW gaming site on Facebook, you probably got to see some great nostalgia shots of Campo from visiting his folks just last week.
That was awesome.
Dude, it literally dusted off an old NES I found in a closet. And got to play the original Zelda, which the battery was still alive and still had my saved games as a child on there.
Ben just said the beta's been extended to Tuesday.
Oh,
nice.
Well, that's good because I'm staying up all night tonight. All right.
Anyhow, so yeah.
So if anybody wants to jump on the beta with me, come on in.
Yeah, we have a channel in the TeamSpeak.
Yep. I got to play the original Zelda, which blew my mind that I still had the memory.
I love the shot you had that said it had that had the original save games on it, right?
And
from when I was like 8.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Those batteries are usually long gone by now.
I would think so too. Yeah. And I played the original Kid Icarus, which that game is insanely difficult.
That's funny because La Campette, that was the one she told me that she got to play for the first time. We were talking about Kid Icarus. And what were your impressions? So this is actually an interesting one.
Oh yeah, let's hear what you thought of Kid Icarus.
La Campette got to go back and check out these original NES games.
Yeah, she got to
way
play
before her time.
Nintendo from when I was younger than her.
And so you got to play some Zelda, some of the first Zelda, since you've been playing, since all the 3D ones and such. So what'd you think of the first Zelda?
I like it.
You gotta move a little closer
to
the mic.
I like it.
Okay, good. Did you think the actual gameplay was fun? It was top down. It wasn't all these crazy puzzles where you're shooting boomerang locks up.
How did you feel about the difficulty of the game?
I like the difficulty of the game.
Do you feel it's more or less difficult than modern games?
More.
Interesting.
I think so
way
too.
More.
Oh,
way more difficult.
I was playing it recently too, and it is.
Yeah,
it's a good challenge.
They're very unforgiving.
Yes.
Original games, you die and it's like, you're dead.
Yeah. Guess what happens? You start at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or wherever you happen to find a save point. No checkpoints.
No.
Save points. So the other question, and the one you kind of chimed in from the doorway on there, Campette, was Kid Icarus. What did you think of this game? Because you know who the character Kid Icarus was, but where do you know Kid Icarus from originally? That you first knew about Kid Icarus?
That he was an angel that couldn't fly
on
his own.
Well, I mean, from what game? What was the first game you saw Kid Icarus in?
Uprising.
Which one's that? Is that the actual 3DS game?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say
I didn't even know
the
that
things
was a game.
we don't have.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, because my expectation was it might have been Smash Brothers. Okay, so you actually knew it from an actual Kid Icarus game. That's cool. So playing the old original NES Kid Icarus, how did you like that game?
I really like that game.
And what did you feel about what was different about that game compared to others you played?
It was very unforgiving. Everything is out to kill you.
Yeah. So initially we started playing many Nintendo BJs later. We got Kid Icarus to work.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, we worked on that game for probably 20 minutes. It was like resuscitating a corpse. So once we finally got it to work, we didn't beat the first level for probably 2.5 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
And then I think you finally got to level 3, right? Yeah, I think about after 6 straight hours of gameplay, level 3 was achieved. Never did we pass level 3.
I was going to say, because when I heard Campette talk to me about it a little bit when we were talking games over TeamSpeak, it was like, oh, yeah, I remember Kid Icarus. Yes, and we know his name is Pitt. But based on the game,
I truly didn't know. She had to prove that point to me. One of the people in the game did call him Pitt.
Well, because this harkens back to when you played a Nintendo game, right? It was what's on the sticker.
Yeah. No, it's obviously Kid Icarus. Samus is obviously called Metroid. Yeah. And of course, Link is Zelda. Yeah. Yeah.
That's actually
people still mix that up today.
Well, to the point where they're probably coming out with Link's sister, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get the internet trolls going,
it's instantly.
I mean, of course.
But I mean, it actually is why, right? Because you just had the title and the name on there, and there wasn't a lot of language of words.
Yeah.
It was more just like you had the character you played.
Yeah.
I don't know what the characters' names are in Contra.
Did they have names?
I don't know.
No,
Somebody probably wrote a backstory.
I'm sure they probably have a name.
Right?
Yeah,
How
sure.
about Bad Dudes? Copy might be able to fill in all these details. I don't know.
Bad Dudes. I never played that game.
Did they have names? I don't know.
And another game we played, Bayou Billy.
I don't know if I ever really played it, but I know of it. And I think I might have played it. Well, the Kid Icarus thing, the one thing I was going to say is I actually beat that game as a kid. And that was like one of those achievements, right? Was like, I beat Kid Icarus. Because I only owned 4 Nintendo games when I was a kid. I owned Super Mario Brothers 1, Super Mario Brothers 2, Gunsmoke,
and Tiger Heli.
Gunsmoke. I remember
Those
that.
are the only games I owned ever, my family, on the Nintendo.
Nice.
Every other game of the 30 Nintendo games I beat, we traded with the kids down the block that had every game.
That used to be a thing.
Because they love Tiger Heli.
Yeah.
So I could always just keep cycling Tiger Heli to them and saying, like, here, what do you have new?
Yeah.
And so I'd keep Kid Icarus for like a month, and because it was the new game, for a month, that's all I did, right? Saturdays mornings were filled with like 8-hour binges.
I personally still have never gotten past level 3 on that game. Well, okay, I did use the Game Genie when I was a child.
Oh,
and I wrecked
dirty.
it. Oh,
dirty.
Yeah. That's
You don't have
OG
those anymore.
hacking. Yeah, that's...
Seriously, Hendo, tell me that's not their actual names. He's saying that the dudes in Contra's names are frickin' frack.
Freaking friend.
No, they're not.
Tell me that's true. Come on, show me the wiki link.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past
There's
you,
no way. Frickin' frack. Yeah.
No, I disagree. That's probably not the case.
But anywho,
Keep
so
it short.
Bayou Billy... So Kid Icarus is tough. Bayou Billy, I think, was designed to not be beaten. Because you have to hand punch an alligator in the first map, the first world level, and it's so jinky. But we also played some Gauntlet. We got that working.
Yeah, I did see the original.
Got some old OG Gauntlet. And what's hilarious about every single one of these games needed resuscitation.
Oh yeah, every one of them you had to spend some quality time.
Some quality, tender loving.
Turn on the music.
You got to
give
talk
us a
to
nice
it nice.
slow blowing on it.
Oh man. So by the time we got each game to work, we didn't want to turn it off.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh, God, if we turn this off, then...
Hey, no, you say that, but even when we had them new, when it wasn't resuscitating that was the issue, it was we don't have a save spot, but I can hit pause.
Yeah.
How many people, Ken, did you ever on a game hit pause and just leave it?
Yeah.
Oh,
For
I did that, but then I put like a box over the machine.
Nobody touched this.
I wouldn't let anybody accidentally turn it off. Because how many times did parents come over?
Oh yeah, no, a parent would be like, "Why is this on?"
Oh, the young Timmy left this place. Turn it off. And then there's 40 hours of your life.
Exactly, right? So it's the same thing, right? Not only just, I don't want to have to blow this for 20 minutes again to get it started.
Yeah.
Because we all know that kind of foreplay is just like repetitive.
It's insane to me. Nintendo came out officially and said, blowing in it doesn't fix it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Why does it fix it?
Yeah. Well, because I was even down on the Kids React channel when they had the Nintendo.
Yeah.
And they literally had it where they had to blow on to get to work. And they were like, so officially, and they brought that exact thing up. They said, officially, Nintendo says this doesn't work. The kids are like, boom. Well, it worked.
Yeah.
In fact, they were saying it like damages the games too when you blow on them.
I don't know. I honestly think Nintendo games work off of kids' saliva.
Yeah, a little bit of saliva doesn't hurt anything. Yeah.
It bridges the electronics, right?
Yeah, I mean, they must use some cheap copper or something, but that chemical reaction between copper and maybe it's the aftermath of like some Cheerios and saliva put together or something.
And I also learned a new thing about the NES. So the plastic, the little lid, is made of a different plastic than the NES itself.
Oh, yeah.
Because my NES is kind of a yellow now.
Oh, yeah, how it
Except
changes
for the
it.
But the lid is still gray.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't they use that for all of it?
Yeah, I was like, that's what I said too. I was like, why did they go cheap on the bigger part? Like, what?
Because it's bigger.
Yeah. But they have a damn good door because people have to open that.
That door is legit.
I'll tell you, going back to the saves, when I got my first PlayStation, before I knew about, you need memory cards now to save, I got Final Fantasy VII. Couldn't save it. 18 hours in, left it run overnight, and man, I learned the hard way. Parents come in, click, no!
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. Yeah, because all the different saving mechanisms. Well, so it's funny, right? The challenges kids today will never know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, and I remember, right, the original Xbox 360 was the last, and the PlayStation 2 really,
PlayStation 2.
were the last consoles to have a memory card
Yep.
on the front.
The GameCube.
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of...
Just they're called USB sticks now.
Well, yeah. So that's the key, right? They all have internal memory.
Right, hard drives.
And now it's all that. And even like the DS, it doesn't anymore. But like the PSP had its micro SD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where they all have these and that's the other thing.
true.
Well, the DS
these
saves it in
massive
the card,
cards,
I think.
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's so many. Yeah, in the card itself on the DS, but all the ones that are just disc based or anything. So it's just funny because kids will never think about that. And now, especially with like cloud syncing,
Oh yeah.
There's like, well, I can just load into my account here, and it's my same game.
There's struggles PC gamers had back in the day that nobody else will know now. Like installing games.
Okay, so Hannah came back and he said no. Bill Reiser and Lance Bean are the names, and he linked to a Giant Bomb article, Contra, and it says the characters. So like we said, there's got to be... Well, it's funny, right? Because...
When do they name them? Initially or later on?
No idea, because the challenge I've seen is that it's amazing how many different things out there are names for, but because it's not used in the context of the media, you never know. But the people, and as an author, I kind of imagine you figure out, when you write those backstories and come up with, this is how my world works, it's there, it's just you never actually use it.
Yep.
Right? And so it's so many times things where around the office developers will use the names.
Well, it's like I didn't realize in Castlevania the guy's name was Simon until Castlevania 2.
Yeah, Simon Belmont. Or whatever.
I had no idea.
I forget.
I played and beat the entire first game. He was Castlevania. Like, that's who you are.
Yeah.
And then
it's not Castlevania.
No, apparently he's not. Yeah.
In Gunsmoke, you're not Gunsmoke.
You're not Gunsmoke. What is this? What is going on?
I say in Rad Racer, I was the Rad Racer.
You got to be the Rad Racer.
Rad Racer.
Yeah. And on the Excite Bike, I was the exciting bike.
I love that game. Yeah, that's a fun game.
I still remember when the Nintendo 64, the FX was the big deal.
When they first added like the whole FX chips, so you could play F-Zero.
Yes,
F-Zero, and so that you could play.
I remember
you still had to blow on those cartridges.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I remember on the 64 they had also a graphics card update.
Yeah, the memory expansion.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it was like red or something. I don't remember what color it was.
One you could put in the console, and then one you could attach to the controller,
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, in certain games you had to have that to play. Like
we're old.
Perfect Dark or
I love that game too. Perfect Dark is great.
We're so old.
Yeah. I know. We're talking about these games. I think Perfect Dark's 20 years old now, ain't it?
It's probably older than that. You don't want to look that up.
Well, and I
posted
somebody in the chat's going to look that up.
Oh, man.
Well, and one of the things I found out from that same weekend of your nostalgia was that you are a huge GoldenEye player.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just bought that the other day on 64.
Oh, yeah. I love that game.
I have never played it, really.
What?
I have played through that first scene when you go onto the dam like 4 times.
I gotta be honest with you, man. If you go play it now, you're gonna hate it.
So the funny part
is a garbage game now compared to now.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah. I was disappointed when I bought it. I was like, GoldenEye, sweet.
Gold case and everything.
Yeah,
so the bad part is because I saw someone doing it again, right? And they're like, how was it when you played it originally on the tube TV? When you had your sniper rifle or what it was, you could look into that single pixel in the window because there were only like 10 pixels to choose from. And you knew that was a guy.
Yeah.
And you could shoot him from across the map. Because you look at it today and you're like, that's a different color.
Well, dude, and that's where sidestepping became a thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you couldn't walk diagonally unless you were sidestepping.
Oh, that's so funny. A copy brings in the IRC says, I think Donkey Kong 64 was the first game that required the X-Pack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think you're right.
But this is why it's so great having the active audience with all the people we have, because these are the geeks who know.
I remember
all the details.
I used to get Nintendo Power mailed to me. It was monthly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I still have my Nintendo Powers that didn't die in the flood.
One of the Nintendo Powers came with a Donkey Kong CD advertisement. And I remember watching that going, when is this game coming out? And oh no, actually it was a VHS.
What?
Yeah, well, I still have the VHS actually at my house. I should bring it. I don't have a VCR anymore. But anyway.
That needs to be encoded, essentially.
And I remember seeing that and just begging my parents to go buy that game. And it wasn't coming out for like another 4 months. Yeah.
So, looking at RC again, Ken, because Ken, for you, what was your first console?
Probably Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive.
Okay, see, that goes back to that proper distance, because that was the other fun thing, right, with the Sega. You had, like, Sega, well, because what was the first of the Sega? You had the Master System, right?
Shoot, I don't remember.
Was it the Master System first or whatever? Basically, the one that was the step above the NES, where you first got, like, Altered Beast?
Yeah, the old Sega world's kind of weird.
And then you got the Genesis. I'm trying to remember if there was one in between.
Wasn't Altered Beast on the Genesis?
Well, they had it on everything. Every Genesis.
And then the CD was a mod for the Genesis.
We're digging into some brain cells
Sega CD.
Yeah, because then I remember a friend of mine on the block who had their Sega CD, because they had the game that was, what was it, the pit game. It was a streaming video game, essentially, where you were flying in a little tunnel.
I've seen that game recently, actually.
Or something like that, where you're you're going down basically sewer tunnels as a ship flying down, taking things on, shooting. It was basically a rail shooter.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a Dragon's Lair type reacting to things. And because it ran just streaming off the CD, and then every once in a while you kind of got your decision tree of like, which one did you go down?
And those were popular then. The Star Wars games were just like that on the Sega CD.
Well, it's funny because it was such a new tech. But you can have so much more graphics on it than a cartridge.
Yes.
Oh, God, we are old.
Does anyone else ever play did they ever play the 3DO or even know what that is?
Yeah, I know what the 3DO is. I know what the TurboGrafx 16 is. I know what the what was the big one? The Jaguar?
Oh.
The way overpriced.
They sell like only 100 of those?
Jaguar. Now, here's the big one. Do you remember, because was it 3DO that was... Which one was Panasonic's?
3DO.
That was a 3DO? Okay, just making sure. Because they were trying to embed that in televisions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing them in the store. And I was like, this ain't going nowhere. Oh, God. We are old. Thank you. See, this is, again, the geeks, right?
Oh, you want to go old?
So, DJ Bullet came back and said Sewer Shark. On Sega CD.
I do remember that game now. I do remember that.
And he also remembered the thing for the VHS for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Jeez. I remember when you used to be able to get like the first 2 levels of Doom in a CD and a magazine for free, and they used to do that all the time.
So that's a whole different discussion, right? Because on the PC side, we had the demos.
I remember
Shareware.
Shareware was Shareware. I'm sorry.
Very first PC we owned, we got Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
It came on 5 floppy disks.
Yep.
Nowadays, that would fit on like my phone without any problem.
So not even the phone, right? That's even too easy.
Yeah.
It is. No, it's too easy.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on. The
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was gonna say, Ken, it's the thumb drives you get for promotional things because they give them away so cheap. The 256 megabyte thumb drives that you can't even buy in a store anymore.
I have one of those.
And so those are what people use for ad agencies. It's like cheaper than a business card, kind of thing.
I could fit like the entire Super Nintendo ROM collection on an entire micro SD card.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say. I look at my main box setup and stuff, and all the old Nintendo stuff games on there. When I downloaded, like, at some point, I don't want to say it that way. At some point, I had seen
gotten copies for all of your games.
No, at some point, I have the backups for everything I own. But at some point, when I looked at what the entire library is of like every Nintendo game you can go get, it's like 2 gigs.
Yeah.
And this is every ROM you could ever think to ever get on a Nintendo,
including the foreign language ones.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And like 8 versions of the same. Because you can look at some of the arcade ROMs and be like, wait, you mean Street Fighter 2 has how many versions?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like seriously like 12. It's stupid. But yeah, it's so funny. God, well, I'll give it 2 sides to that discussion because now I'm just being old. This is where we've gotten. This is our table right now. This is our like AA meeting for old gamers. But it's kidding there. It's like, in a way I give credit though because programmers back then could build an entire.
Man, you have no idea. I've played around in a lot of those old languages, and oh my god, it's horrific.
The respect.
You didn't have an engine to build off of back
no,
then.
You were
your
building
engine.
registers, right? You were typing in assembly to your own board that you soldered.
And also to their credit, they didn't have to patch their games after they came out.
Yes.
Which gives you 2 things.
They had to do perfect first time.
Well, you say perfect. There are and aren't, right?
Like E.T., right?
Well, so Copy could speak to this one. Go look at any of the old cartridge-based ones, or basically anytime when Copy brings up the games, awesome games done quickly on Twitch. A lot of the games they speed run. The whole reason they're able to speed run the way they do is because there were glitches in the game that never got fixed because they were pressed once, and the main part of the game worked. But they found out, and these guys are insane. I don't know how most of these people found the glitches, right? Well, if you stand in this one spot and go backwards twice and then back the other direction while hitting this, it warps you 3 levels ahead. Because it does this weird memory leak thing where it can't handle it, and this happens. So, but again, credit due.
It's brute force, though, to be honest. I mean, how many millions of times these games have been played? One person must have seen that. And
it's monkeys in a keyboard or monkeys in a typewriter, right? It's enough people bang on the code that at some point
you don't see glitches in games that aren't patched anymore. Like I was looking at
you do. There's
hints
just a lazy
online.
Patch them.
I was looking at hints for Human Revolution Deus Ex, and there's here's a hack that lets you get unlimited XP. Went back, tried it. It's like, oh, they patched it.
Patched.
It's like back in the old days, if this was a PlayStation game, it would have been good.
Well, it's like how people literally speedrun like Final Fantasy. I watched one of the few I watched all the way through. It's like an hour and 50-minute play of Final Fantasy VII.
Whoa.
Now, to do that hack, right, to do it, they had to go through and do this crazy memory save game hack where if you had a save game already on the disc, right, that wasn't later but just another save game, and you went to this place and entered this dungeon and killed this one mob and then came back out and did this thing and exited the game and then reloaded that other save or whatever it is, or renamed save or something, it pushed you like so much content ahead. Because it's just the way it saved it in the memory that when you reloaded that save game, suddenly it was like elsewhere in the game. Huh. And in doing so, they did some hack like that got them to skip all of disc 2. And so they went from the beginning of disc 1, and they actually had the hack that leveled them to the end, like, dungeon at level, like, 8.
That doesn't feel right to do a speed run that way.
Well, but they were saying that there are different kinds of speed runs, right? There's the full no hack speed runs, and then there's the how fast can you literally get through this. Okay. And in that one, it was impressive just to watch, because it's like, who the F comes up with this? Who figures this out?
Oh, you should see all the... think of a game and type in that game and then speedrun on YouTube, and you'll be blown away by what they have speedruns of nowadays.
Watching like Quake, so I was watching the Half-Life one for Half-Life 2. And there's a glitch in Half-Life 2 that if you run backwards and basically duck and jump, you infinitely accelerate. Because there's a little thing they did to get rid of like something about how you moved in the game to address the forward motion. They made this thing where if you move backwards, it like does a slightly different speed thing. And essentially what the guys do, start running one direction, turn around, start hopping backwards, and they start accelerating to a point where they can start jumping in certain places over parts of the map and landing in other parts. And one of the specific levels I watched was the speedboat run, where you have the airboat.
Yeah.
It is faster to run and use that backwards jump mechanism if you have to go the right angle than it is to take the airboat.
Wow.
It's just...
Well, it's like, if you guys ever played the original Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The feather.
Super Nintendo.
I don't think they meant people to be able to jump the entire track with one feather.
Oh.
What?
But you totally...
Super Nintendo one?
Yeah, who didn't do that? Like
I never had a Super Nintendo, so I played it only at friends, so I have no idea.
Yeah, so then the main campaign or whatever that you want to call it, you could circumvent the entire track with one feather and just... I think like 45 seconds complete the whole race.
They haven't done the feather since that version, have they?
No.
64 and above.
No, the feather was the only one to have
So what did the feather let you do?
Jump over.
Oh, so you could jump like corners.
It was like the feather from Mario 3. Where it gives you
lets you like, you can actually multiple jump? Or just
it's just one single super
But it's
jump.
a big one, yeah.
Oh.
And I think it was initially built to like jump over cars or over like turtle shells or whatever. Yeah. But of course, you're jumping over walls.
Well, you jump somewhere even by accident. You're like, oh, that just happened.
I could do that. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because also going back to the chat as we're going through, it says, oh, okay. So and again, freaking DJ Bullock, everyone's correcting me. So going all the way back, Copy says I missed the 2600. Don't, because Atari games were terrible.
Yeah.
Hey.
They were terrible. No, they're terrible bad. Because they had so little memory and so little graphics.
Right.
And the one I always compared to, Missile Command was okay.
Yeah.
I had Missile Command. I always coveted it and wanted Pac-Man.
Miss Pac-Man, yeah.
And then I look at Pac-Man on the Atari again,
Ugh.
and I realize I don't want Pac-Man. It is shite.
No.
I want the arcade Pac-Man.
Yeah, the arcade Pac-Man,
which is good,
and
because
Miss
the Atari one was
especially where it's at.
Yeah, Miss Pac-Man was the best.
It's just like Tank on the Atari.
I recently rebuilt a original Pac-Man arcade and a Miss Pac-Man cocktail table.
Nice. Cocktail tables.
Both those games are timeless classic fun.
They're just so good. Yeah. Well, and then from then, let's see. We get DJ Bullock says that game, so Super Shark would fit on a thumb drive like a gig. Hando has more links to like software libraries, and Copy says my first console was the NES. Yep, totally understood. Ben came back and said I have all the games and it's about 500 megs. All the Super Nintendo games was like 2 gigs.
Wow. Has anybody figured out how old Perfect Dark is yet?
I didn't see anyone post it, but
like one 97,
the one of the comments I didn't mention was I think it was Pause made the comment that when we brought up GoldenEye is like most overrated game ever, and Copy was like,
if you're gonna play
that.
GoldenEye Source.
GoldenEye was great
Well, so
when
that's
it was
the thing.
out.
Yeah.
Well, so they've updated GoldenEye in the Source engine. Basically, somebody's modded it.
I didn't know.
Oh,
that.
And
yeah.
you can play the
I
whole
gotta
thing
find
again.
that.
Yep.
That's actually something we should be doing at a Gamefest or two.
It's like hidden and all these other things that we forget because we
Yeah.
have so many games.
What if it's on the Steam Workshop? That'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah,
let's see.
GoldenEye was
Back then, it was
the reason
great.
why first-person shooters
Yeah.
are where they are now.
That was like the
For
multiplayer.
consoles.
I would say it brought it
For
I would say
consoles.
even PC. It brought it out to the forefront.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
It
Well,
Nope.
popularized it.
Because no.
What?
Because if you look at the
Wolfenstein.
true genesis from Castle Wolfenstein
Yeah.
through Doom, which was
Yep.
out before,
Oh, I know it was out before.
Way
and Doom was multiplayer.
Yep.
Multiple people, it had all those mechanisms that GoldenEye brought about. It's the same thing as everything in today's market. The reason that we still have consoles, unfortunately, is that
Casual.
the masses own consoles.
Right.
And so the masses, I will say GoldenEye was the first game to put first-person shooting as a concept to the masses beyond computer gaming.
Brought it
Yeah,
out.
they tried
But
bringing
I will say
Doom
it was
out
already
before,
out and it
that
was always
horrible.
already well established and understood.
It was a niche before.
It pervased through all PC gaming. Because everyone who had a computer had played Doom because it was
yeah.
shareware. The first whole level or world
everyone
of it
had
was
Doom.
free.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah,
had it.
the whole game was like free.
Well,
like,
it was the
I think it
first.
came with
it was the
Windows.
first overall thing.
well, it could.
Campaign, basically. It was
Yeah.
the first campaign.
The first campaign because it had
Yeah.
multiple parts of it. The
Yeah.
whole first one was free.
That was like one of the best gaming marketing schemes ever.
I remember
yeah.
getting Duke Nukem with one of our computers back in the day.
So that was
Oh,
another one
jeez.
where they give the first like
Duke
piece of it
Nukem 3D,
freeware.
and actually just last Friday was the
Warrior.
20th anniversary of Duke Nukem 3D.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
God, we're old.
I loved Shadow Warrior, man.
oh Shadow Warrior, yeah, that was
All right. So I'm
Bomb.
trying to think.
a more
So
humorous.
for you,
Duke
Ken,
Nukem.
because one of the other discussions that came up there, Scribble brought it up, is that since those original consoles kind of said, and this happens with the overall melding of IP where people are trying to sell to everyone, we've lost mascots for the games, for the
Yeah,
systems, right?
That's true.
Because back in the day, you had Mario and you had Sonic, essentially.
Yeah.
And then as things progressed, what was it? Because,
Yeah, Sony doesn't have a mascot.
well, so Sony did.
it was Crash.
Crash
Oh,
Bandicoot and
I forgot
Spyro.
about him, yeah.
Yeah, and
Those were-
Spyro. Yeah,
Those are the ones
Oh,
she
I thought
brings
it'd be
up.
Conquer.
Well, no, that was Nintendo.
Bad Fur Day
Conker's
was
Bad
Nintendo?
Fur Day was Nintendo 64,
No,
if
it
I'm not
wasn't.
mistaken.
No.
Somebody, no, it was
someone correct
Nintendo. It was Nintendo. Someone
If-
saved me.
If
Which
any
one
of
was
us
it?
are wrong, we'll be
Conker
corrected in a
was
second.
Nintendo, and I want to say it was 64.
I never actually played
So
that.
Conquer.
I know Copy
I don't
knows,
recall
and
what console I played it on.
I never
now.
played it, but I know that one was 64 because I'd seen this whole thing about what it was originally supposed to be, and then how it eventually came out. 64. Thank
Was
you.
it the 64?
Yes.
Yeah, I just remember having a
Conker
drunken
Bad
squirrel.
Fur Day. I know because he pissed on things.
Yeah.
Was drunk. and
Yep.
just, yeah.
Yeah, there was a shit demon you had to fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there's a whole YouTube. There's a great YouTube video about that out there.
It was a fun game.
Let's see, PC's
that talks about the
mascot
history of
is Gabe Newell.
Yes, all hail.
He's also
Yeah.
the babe of the gaming world now.
Yeah, exactly.
Sexiest man in gaming.
Well, it's the fact that you can say all hail Gabe, right? And people are just like,
I'm
yep.
really hoping he produces a calendar this year, actually.
I actually have a Gabe calendar. Well, because, I mean, you
Where
could
this-
almost just,
Where this is out March, of course, is the third month.
because you could almost just have like the Steam logo, right? On the front of the calendar. I'll be like, yep, buying that. Some shots from
Oh,
games
yeah.
in Source Engine.
Hell yeah.
And then Gabe just like, all like, you know, sexied up on the back.
I'd buy that.
Yeah, that would be an awesome.
I like how there's a
calendar.
collective groan behind me as I said that.
Oh, and you can have the symbols of the percentages of games as he takes his clothes off. Like, you could have like 10% as he takes a towel. You have 25% as he takes like his jumpers off.
Oh my gosh.
Empty.
That's hilarious. So yeah, no, I did miss that. And the reason I do miss the mascot piece of it, I'm happy Scribble you said that, is that
Good point.
I love the commercials that came out of the mascots. And Bandicoot was great for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because they had the big mascot stuffed Crash Bandicoot running around causing mayhem and doing silly things in real life. And I thought that was amazing. Equally, and this is something that it is its own, as we were doing the nostalgia thing, its own just fun exercise to go back, is if you can find any links on YouTube for old game commercials. Any of them. they are all epic because they are all like 80s music, over the top clothing, flashing lights, and it's funny because you look at and there's some articles have been done like the advertisement versus the game. Because you think, Atari advertising.
It's just like the game box.
Yeah, they're not going to show you the game graphics.
Well, they would show you just the art, right? And you're right, it's the art, the title art type thing.
You look at any of the game boxes, you're like, this looks badass. Put it in the system, you're like, this looks nothing like the box.
Well, but at the time you'd still be like, but yeah, I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's
games.
Oh gosh, it's so bad. And because I remember, again, it's even like Nintendo Power and stuff. I remember seeing like the Nintendo Power, and my story I always say is I went and saw The Wizard as a pre-release movie. And I was wearing my silk shirt and stuff like that as a kid in the 80s, middle school.
Silk shirts.
And I got to go to a premiere episode of that, and Shane, like when they introduced
people
the
don't
Power
wear enough
Glove.
silk shirts anymore.
Well, it's because we went away from the old silk
need to bring
that
it
was
back.
just like you would sweat through it. It was terrible.
Yeah,
and they came up with the good silk blends that are actually wearable.
Yeah, we're bringing it back. I'm going to buy a bunch
some
of
skinny
them.
ties. And can I start rolling my jeans again?
Well, yeah.
No one ever says this is
Because I do like rolling my jeans.
I do remember doing that too, yeah.
Yeah, especially if they're acid washed.
You bleach them yourself.
That's some texture. You don't get that texture today.
No.
Then you guys are going to go down to 1-Up.
Actually, oh my gosh, should we? We should do an 80s party at the 1-Up.
That's genius.
Dress all 80s like I did for the Polaroid thing, but go to the 1-Up and play video games there.
And there's still a quarter.
We can eat our malt liquor. We can drink our malt liquor and have, I don't
even know where it is.
1-Up?
What?
There's two of them.
I've never been there. Yeah, you were telling me about them.
You failed for that. All of the quarters I have that aren't older than me sit on my shelf ready for days at the 1-Up.
I have like 10 pounds of quarters.
Well, there's something to be said about going to a quarter arcade place when you're an adult. Because I have all the money now to play the games.
Yeah.
So I beat everything. Because I'll spend $20 to beat Ninja Turtles. F you, Ninja Turtles.
I mean, when you're back when you're a kid, you're like, shit, I got 6 quarters.
Yeah.
Dude.
No.
All right.
Budget.
So,
do
Ken.
perfect
budgeting.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, Ken. I don't know for you. Because for us, we were all old enough that we were actual, like, arcade rats for some period of time.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before. I had arcades that I was known at. Because I went there every Friday and Saturday or something like that, right? Ken, did you guys have like a lot of arcades around when you grew up?
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, I know we did.
The only kind of arcade that we had was our bowling alley that had
the stuff that was like
Crisis, right?
Yeah, that had a couple arcade games at the bowling alley. For us, it was like the gas station. I grew up starting at like the pinball machine at 7-Eleven. Yeah,
the mall, Pueblo Mall actually.
And then you had a couple actual arcades, right?
Yeah.
No, so I knew we had brought it up before, because what you just mentioned, Kuro, about that was when you only had $1 or $2.
Yep.
That's when people got good at games.
You had to be good.
Well,
yeah.
You took your time,
Yeah.
and the thought process that you remind me of, I used to go to the arcade and scout
Oh, yeah.
all the games and machines to decide where am I spending my $3 today.
Well, shoot, and my buddy Darren, like, he was big at Mortal Kombat 2, and he would actually go out and buy, there were guides for the arcade machines, and he would go read these guides, and read them, and read them, and read them, and then go and kick people's asses at the arcade.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing with Killer Instinct and with Mortal Kombat
Love
2.
those games.
Because I had
awesome
the
games.
internet when most people didn't. Because my dad got us on CompuServe
Oh, yeah.
when you had to pay for a specific access before you could get AOL or
$20
Prodigy or
for
any of
10
those.
hours a month.
And it was very limited. I would get on BBSs and stuff like that directly and download these guides that were all ASCII text.
Oh, yeah.
And it would tell you, like, literally, that the way you'd have to decipher what they meant in ASCII text was amazing for these move lists. And I would study one character and go in there, and I'd take it was old-fashioned thing. I had my backpack. And so while I was training, I'd pull out the notes and, like, and go through. And so I was also that kid that was the first to pull off, like, babalities,
Oh, yeah.
friendships, and all those, like, little hidden things. You know, knock a person into the acid in Mortal Kombat, knock them up into the
there's
spikes.
like hidden fatalities and whatnot.
Yep.
I was the first in the group, and they always were like, "What?" It's like, just the internet. Oh, nostalgia. God, we're terrible. And it's funny because we're running up on the end of the show.
Speaking of nostalgia, we should all get some UT Alpha going.
Oh, yeah. So for anyone out there who hasn't checked it out, please go to Epic Games and grab the Unreal 4 engine demo. Essentially, that's going to be the full game of Unreal Tournament, the pre-alpha. It is sexy. It runs beautifully. It is so fast.
It looks so
The more
good.
people are playing it, the more this will be a real game.
I want more people to play it because I tried doing an online matchup the other
All
day,
against
and
bots.
Yep, it was like trying to find players. We found you bots. It's like, oh.
Yeah,
Sometimes
just
the bots
bots.
are fun though. Sometimes.
Well, no, the bots
Oh,
make
the
you
bot?
feel better than you are.
Yeah, the bots
Yeah.
are really good in that game if you turn them up, but then at a certain point they're really bad because
Yeah,
they're
and
really
it's-
predictable.
I
Yes.
remember UT 2004. I used to be able to put the bots at their maximum AI and still.
So
Oh,
at
yeah,
some
And then
point,
go and
Godlike.
play against other
at
players
some
and get my butt
point,
kicked.
when I would
Yep.
check my Unreal Tournament original Unreal Tournament install, and I don't know how many times you guys have done this with any old game you've had, I saw that they were all set to insane, to the highest, and I load in that game and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when I was that good.
When you had more time.
Yeah, exactly. When I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
No. Actually, it was when I worked for the military, and so I didn't really care.
Oh, there's that.
All right. Break it up. We need to start looking about wrapping up the show. Before we do, from Gamefest, we did things like Rocket League, which are a blast, and everyone I think should play that likes it all. Not everyone had it, but I have to give credit, even though I didn't play, to Diablo 3. There were a whole back wall of people who did nothing but basically game 4 or 5 person and basically Diablo 3 all weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
With all the patches, they say it's the Diablo they all wished it was when it launched, so it's Diablo 2, but prettier.
I'll have to check it out.
What other ones?
You don't know Jack.
Yeah, so
upstairs
upstairs
that.
for the party game, and thank you to DJ Bullock again for doing this. I hadn't bought it yet, but the second version of the party
That's
game,
fun.
you don't
My
know
daughter
Jack
loved
Party.
that game.
Well, because it lets you interface, and the smartest thing ever, right? Through Wi-Fi, through the local interface, your smart device, instead of having to use an actual controller.
Yeah.
And because you're now using a smart device to do the games in it, they can do more than just pick the word.
Oh yeah, the drawing game looks
The
really
drawing
cool.
one's the big one. You draw, they give you a word, you draw it, and then other people try to guess it. It's so much fun.
And you
at
don't have
least-
to be a good artist for it. It's
No, you don't, and you aren't. Most people, Biebs. And then, and there's just things you do for just fun. So, as a good party game, if you have a Steam box or access to Steam, or
It's on
if you
PS3
have
as
it
well.
on console, you can do that too. It is a really good experience. Great party game. Anything else that we want to say game-wise before we?
Subcom.
We said Subcom too much.
We did
Okay.
we'll just brief overview here. We got Black Ops 3 we played.
Yep.
Rainbow Six we played.
Battlefield 4.
Battlefield 4 we got a couple good hours in on that.
What was the racing game upstairs? That was fun.
Gran Turismo 5.
for those with the running rig. That
Oh, and
Biebs
we
brought.
actually had a legit sit down in rig
Yeah,
to play
Biebs
that.
rig again,
Yeah.
which makes it
It's a really
even
cool
better.
rig. Yeah.
Oh, we have to talk about his toys that we displayed.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Just real quick, so Ken, I
Benson.
know it's right on the edge of running along, but every time at Game Fest we kind of showcase a few other things, and we've had various things. Usually there's the big drum kit. We didn't get that this time. Oh, don't you do that.
Is it
This
still
time,
going?
yeah, the internet was trying to.
Remix.
It's trying to freak out on me. Oh, don't do this. All right, it's still broadcasting. It's just the background music's getting stupid. But he brought some toys to show off from his collection at home, which are amazing. Go ahead.
I know nothing about them other than the Transformers were pretty.
Yeah.
Transformers.
But I don't know all the details.
So the first day, he basically brought a bunch of Macross toys. And when I say toys, they look like models that you would build. But these things all range in the price of like $100 to like $300 or $400 for each of them.
Wow.
And he has a massive collection. What he
Yeah.
brought was just a handful of them to show off. And they're gorgeous. So we set up a table upstairs to display them. I put out signs that said, "Please don't touch."
Yeah, talk to the beard.
Yeah, talk to the beard if you want to see anything about this. And then in front of him, I put out a bunch of my 3D prints to kind of show those off. And then yesterday, he brought, one of them was this massive SDF-1 from Robotech.
Dude, the
Macross.
Metroplex.
But yeah, he brought Transformers for last night. And he has a Metroplex. It's just this Master Collection Edition that stands
Oh yeah.
2.5 feet tall
It had to be 2.5 feet tall. Yeah,
as a Transformer toy.
yeah.
And it's bad enough it's that tall. It is posable.
And it transforms.
And it transforms in the city, and it has
Yeah.
all these other upgrades he got. And he had it posed in a just striking way. Where I first walked up, it was just standing there. And next time come up, it's this action pose where it's like, boom, individually articulated fingers, and it's like, holy cow!
The
He had
level
a,
of detail in these toys is insane.
a big
yeah.
Optimus
Yeah.
Prime.
Well,
he
he
had a
painted some of them too himself.
yeah.
like-
He changes details to make them match to the things.
Yeah.
his love of these things is silly because he's been trying to get me to go see his collection.
I've seen the photos on the VTW Facebook.
Yeah, for
and
people on the Facebook page on the gaming one, he's posted some of his collections.
He's got glass cases for all of these.
Yeah,
things.
it takes up a whole wall in his room where it's like that is doing your geek right,
dude. It's legit. Yeah.
So anyway, I had to throw shouts out because. God, that was impressive. And it's funny because he didn't play because he didn't have a PC.
Yeah, he brought his console.
He brought his Xbox
awesome.
One and two Xbox 360s.
He was still chilling over there gaming.
And he sat back in the gaming chair and he played Tom Clancy's The Division the whole weekend.
He made it really far in that game.
Yeah, in the beta he was just killing it.
Really,
he's
really
got
well.
He's got the brain for that type of game.
He just sat there and he explained so much.
We need to get him on PC.
Yeah, he needs a PC badly.
All right. We are dying. The feed is having struggles. And it is time for us to call it for the day. Hopefully in the future I'll get this to work better on this rig. And I don't know what's going on again. The first time back on this. And if I have to, I'll go back to the laptop. But in the meantime, Ken, would you please give us our outs?
That I may. You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. Check us out on Twitter.com/VTWShowX for the show itself Twitter feed. Check us out Twitter.com/DocDead for Mr. Wayne's personal feed, and Twitter.com/GoHex for my personal feed as well. Support us on Patreon.com/ShowX. We have been saving all of the savings so far for when something goes boom, and it looks like it might just be doing that now. So, thank you very much for all the donations so far. Any more are always welcomed. $1, $10, whatever is all appreciated. Also check us out on Facebook.com, check out ShowX and find us there. Send in emails to showx@VTWProductions.com. We didn't get around to even looking today, I'm pretty sure.
I did look, and we have one from Scribble. We have one from Scribble. We'll get it next week.
Indeed. And also check out the VTW TeamSpeak details on the main website, VTWProductions.com. And then you can hang out any time of the week. Come hang out, especially on gaming night tonight. I'm afraid I will not be taking part, but I recommend that if you can, that you do. It is good fun. And with that, thank you for having me on the show, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on the show as always. Thank you to all the guests who jumped in for Gamefest. Always fun to get some new faces and voices and some returning ones onto the network. It's always a good time. With that, you've been listening to Show X on VTWProduction.com, and we are out of here.
Peace. Bye-bye.
Because I now have to hit all the buttons.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.